There are moments where we are faced with the reality that our experience as melanated people in this country, and indeed across the world, is unparalleled. Moments in which we are reminded that the only people we will truly ever be one with is ourselves. We are living through one of those moments right now. And in those moments, some of us, the truest of us, the best of us, pull on our roots, as tangible or as distant as they may be, to remind ourselves not only of our indestructible nature and our indestructible history, but also of how unique and unparalleled, although often duplicated, our irreplaceable human experience really is. In this video, on this channel, we rejoice and we revel in what makes our extraterrestrial experience so unique, from Alabama to West Africa, from Jamaica to Paris through Congo. As we watch them burn it all down, we take a second to watch back through our history to remind ourselves that your ancestors, like mine, that our ancestors have survived much worse. Jamaica's traditional attire reflects the island's complex history and cultural diversity, rooted deeply in its African heritage and the experience of enslaved peoples. The clothing styles, fabrics, and patterns that characterize traditional Jamaican attire embody a fusion of African traditions, colonial influences, and the resilience of communities shaped by hardship and creativity. The arrival of African slaves to Jamaica during the transatlantic slave trade profoundly influenced the island's culture, including its clothing traditions. Enslaved Africans were stripped of their cultural identities, yet they managed to preserve elements of their heritage through music, through food, and through their attire. Upon their arrival, enslaved Africans were given plain, coarse fabric, often made of material like Osnaburg, a rough, inexpensive linen. These garments were functional and intended to withstand harsh labor conditions, but they lacked cultural significance. Africans brought to Jamaica combined these materials with techniques, styles, and patterns reminiscent of their homeland. Over time, the vibrant print and creative design of African textile influenced the evolution of Jamaican traditional attire. For enslaved women, headwraps became a significant element of the attire, serving both practical and symbolic purposes. These headwraps, often made from leftover cloth or repurposed material, provided protection from the sun and represented resistance to assimilation. The style of tying headwraps bore similarities to those in West African communities, reflecting continuity with ancestral traditions. Headwraps in West Africa have a rich history rooted in cultural, spiritual, and social tradition, dating back centuries. These garments, known by various names such as Gele in Nigeria, Nduku in South Africa, Dun in Mali, have served multiple purposes beyond simple adornment. So let's travel to West Africa for a second to tie this all together. The Dun, a traditional headwrap in Mali, holds deep historic and cultural significance, reflecting the country's diverse ethnic heritage and spiritual beliefs. Rooted in Mali's long-standing textile tradition, the Dun is more than a practical garment. It serves as a symbol of identity, status, and spirituality within Malian society. The dun has its origin in Mali's ancient civilization, particularly the Mande people, who have a rich history of weaving and dyeing textile. Traditional Malian textiles such as the bogolafini, also known as the mudcloth, provide the fabric of these head wraps, which often features intricate design and natural dyes. Let's get back to Jamaica for a second. Jamaican traditional attire retain many other stylistic elements that mirror African clothing, such as the use of bold colors and geometric patterns. For example, vibrant hues such as red, yellow, and green, commonly associated with Jamaica, are symbols of life, vitality, and spiritual energy. Geometric patterns and bright colors are prominently used in Jamaican national dress, which includes skirts and blouses of red and white or blue and white plaid. These patterns highlight Jamaica's communal spirit and are worn during cultural celebrations such as Independence Day and Emancipation Day.
An hour-long video could be made about the use of African textile not only in Africa and in the Caribbean, but also in high fashion and red carpets. But there's beauty in focusing on such a small element of it, to remind it of how history-defying it really is, that something as simple as a piece of clothing tied on one's head or the use of a certain type of textile can survive centuries of forced displacement and centuries of forced assimilation. If we understand that simple element, the evolution of that simple element of our cultural experiences, it makes it even more special to understand how much more history-defying it is to observe the harmony of our sounds across oceans and the coordination of our moves across time. I've been Georges and this has been Culturally Speaking. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you feel voices like mine are worth amplifying, then please do so. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.